Okay, welcome everyone. Anna Lindholm, Manager Electromobility in Volvo. Please, you could just short introduce yourself.
Okay, yes, I am Anna Lindholm and I am managing the project managers at the electromobility organization. We work with advanced engineering projects like ERS and also with our production projects.
Very good. And then we have Hans Sell. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm head of business development in NCC Infra Construction, leading construction company in the Nordics. I'm also the chairman of the board of Iro Darlanda Consortium.
Yes, and we have met Mr. Wågstedt, but maybe you can just say hello.
Yes, and Mr. Wågstedt has also a first name, Nils Gunnar.
Yes.
I'm chief engineer for electromobility at Scania, and that is a strategic role for managing, assisting the top management in direction of electromobility. I'm also the chairman of the Electromobility Center in Sweden, which is a coalition with all the big players in the industry of OEMs. We also have the facility or grid supplier like Vattenfall, and we have 5 of the universities there. So I'm working with this daily.
Very good. Well, you have your own microphone, so maybe Tom Norbeck from Norway, you can have a short introduction.
Yes.
We met you yesterday.
Yes, I work in the Directorate of Public Roads in the Norwegian Public Roads Administration. We have just had a project which had its final conference on Tuesday, electric infrastructure for goods transport, with many interesting results. So please visit elingo.no.
And Jan, we met you yesterday.
Yes, Jan Peterson from Swedish Transport Administration, and I'm the program leader for ERS in Sweden and also the Swedish coordinator for the Swedish-German partnership.
Yes.
Michael Lüken, the German coordinator for the German-Swedish cooperation and supervising German ERS projects in the project funding agency VDI on behalf of the Federal Ministry for the Environment in Germany.
Thank you very much, all of you. I was thinking, we have listened now to very many research conclusions, but also questions for new areas, maybe to find or get more findings from. What topics? I direct myself to Hans, and my aphasia is Anna initially. Are you missing something here from a research point of view?
I think that what we have listened to these 2 days are very good and I think are very relevant topics. What I would like to dig into a little bit more, even though we have heard a lot about it, is the stakeholders and the customers. From the vehicle manufacturing point of view, it's very important to get to know our customers and know what they are expecting. So how will they use electric roads? In what kind of applications? We heard from Stefan that it will differ very much. If you are working in the harbor or if it's point-to-point transfer, could it also be in the urban areas? Could we use it also for stationary charging, for example? So those kinds of questions are really important for us to know because we need to adapt our vehicles to that.
Good. Hans, are you missing out something?
I think as an infrastructure builder, I think it's interesting also to see how ERS could be connected to self-driving vehicles, digitalization, also producing energy actually from the road. There's a lot of things going on and we tend to focus on one thing only. But the combination of this is very interesting from an infrastructure point of view. And also, as you said, it's very interesting to know, I mean, there should be some money in the end, and we haven't talked so much about the end consumer, the private consumers. I mean, already today we know that private energy consumers are actually prepared to pay more for electricity that comes from wind or sun. Will they also be prepared to pay more for food that comes from electric roads? I don't know.
Could we move over to the public side? This with money and state financing, is that a necessity in order to get this going, from your opinion? Is that something that you take into consideration?
Go ahead if you like.
Yeah, just first.
So if I got your question right, it boils down to the question, up to which point will governments be able to finance ERS activities, right?
Yes, or is it a necessity in order to get it started commercially, or will it be market-based from day one?
I expect it to be a stepwise transition between the point where we are now, that we're saying it's research. So of course it's funded by government money. At some point, I think it will be a self-running, self-organizing system, and there is a step-by-step transition in between. So I really hope that the next step of pilot projects would at least partially include some means of co-financing from the users, but still being a realistic business case for everyone involved.
Well, actually in Sweden we are facing that reality right now.
Yes.
You heard me present yesterday about the pilot that we talked about, that we now will get financing for the pilot. But using Stefan's definition, it's not a pilot, it's more about a deployment project. And by that we will face these challenges. And I absolutely think that the government must be part in financing part of this, absolutely. And I'm also really concerned about the users, that they will be engaged in early stages. I mean, we heard just from Julius, the incentives that you have now planning for in Germany for ERS early adopters, extremely interesting, of course, because in the end, it's all about the money, I would guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
Norway, sorry that I call you Norway, but Tom has maybe that is a compliment. How is Norway reasoning in this?
Well, obviously you need money to start, but if we can go back to the first question about research topics and development for the next phase, I would like to see more of what you could call mainstream climate science, not those who study the weather and such, but all the economists working with solutions. I would like to see more of them here, and so that it gets more into this mainstream discussion. The cheapest climate mitigation solutions under $100 and down and even profitable is wind and solar. But from what we see here, ERS is highly probably in that club. Okay. So if we could get those people to check this with these models, we will have strong general arguments for ERS.
Neil, sure.
Because there was a very interesting study in Germany, and it was on behalf of the German Association of Industry, the BDI. And there they made an assessment of the German climate policy and all its options. And they actually included ERS as an option and made exactly that assessment. Where would it fit into the merit order curve of mitigation options? And they found, hey, yeah, there's really a cool potential for ERS. This was fascinating for us, and it's cool to say this is a study not from crazy scientists. It is a study that comes from the association of our German industry.
Oh, that's very positive to see.
Absolutely.
And Niels Gunnar, have you any reflections regarding what research you would like to see more of and the cost perspective?
First, on the research, I'm really proud and pleased to see all the research that's done and currently continue to done and increase. So this community is really important for this to happen. I will spin on what you say about more or less the system of systems, as many of us speak here, where we see new potential business opportunities. And the ERS is sort of a new thing in the energy system, where
Yes.
you can integrate the energy production and the use and see how all those battery-operated vehicles on an ERS system integrate to the rest of the power production and so on. So I would like to see more of research on the system of systems and how we can make this happen, assisting the grid and make everything more easy because of the ERS, not as a problem.
No.
It's a part of the solution. On the cost as we see as we see in the presentations, if we have large volume using the systems, the cost will not be a problem at all.
Yeah.
There will be benefits for everyone, cost-wise, environmental benefits. So it's the challenge, we will come to that question, but the challenge is to bridge the valley of death now.
Yeah.
We see a bright future over there, but we are on this edge and don't know really how to jump. That's the problem.
Good. Anna, I turn to you. If we look short-sighted, 2 years ahead, what do you have in focus then? In this context of fitting your vehicles into a system like this?
Well, I think for us it's important to be able to have vehicles that are compatible to different technologies. We have seen different presentations regarding overhead catenaries and taking up from the ground. So we need to be prepared for that. And I also think that it's very important to increase our knowledge even more, try out different over time to see what happens with the system and really the seasons, how does that affect, etc. So that is what we have in front of us.
How is the spirit in Volvo if you want to reveal the top secret emotions? I mean, we heard from Stefan that there are some companies meeting disruptive competitors and then they die, apropos the Death Valley. What would you say? Are Volvo in good health?
I think so. For sure we are in good health. And when it comes to electromobility, we are prepared. We have our Volvo buses, which have worked with this for a couple of years now. We have launched Volvo FE and FL, full electric trucks. We are prepared when it comes to electric road systems because we have tested different technologies. We also need to be more agile in the way we work. So we look up upon our priorities quite often. It's every 10th week, actually. We try to adopt the agile way of working, and I think it's going quite well.
Very good. What about the construction sector, Hans? Are we alive and kicking?
I hope so. At least we're trying to be a little bit more proactive than we usually are. I mean, I often get the question why NCC is involved in electric roads, and the answer, of course, is that we've been building infrastructure since 1875, and even if I won't be there, I'm sure we will be building it in 2075 also. We are just trying to be a little bit proactive now, and I think we are prepared. The challenge for us is, of course, to now find the strategic partners, because no one knows exactly what the future will look like. So I think strategic partnership will be very important for the industry.
Yeah, thank you. And what about Scania?
Yes, what about Scania? Healthy company, yes. Of course, when it comes to the future, we sort of see it, it's a multitude of solutions, but there seem to be narrowing down to more or less one solution in the future, and that is electric.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're working on that, of course, but again, the challenge is to move from low volumes into mass production, and when to take the investments going into mass production. That is the key question. It's not that it's very difficult to do, but you can't do the investment before you know it will fly.
No.
And there will be users.
Thank you. In Norway, how are you reasoning? It's difficult for an authority, of course, to choose which path you should go into, but you have to be very observant of the technical development, of course. How do you, short-term, see your priorities in this sense?
Well, that question was asked to our head of R&D and innovation yesterday, and the priority is to focus on the smaller vehicles and on the electrification of ferries. And but we have ambitious goals regarding also heavier vehicles, and it seems to be relying on batteries and hydrogen as solutions. But in that respect, I would like to see more research on batteries. Do we have enough resources? That's one question. But can we extract them quickly enough to meet the targets of the Paris Agreement? Because if we can't, that is an argument for ERS. And batteries will anyway be quite valuable. So no matter how you see it, if the world is to reach these targets, and that's also an argument for ERS.
Yeah, Jan, the Swedish government, with your help, has put up this roadmap. Do you think it will work all the way, or do you think you will have to do some changes on the road?
I absolutely think it will work, but I must say the step that we are going to take now from research, demonstrator, pilots to a deployment projects, that's a huge leap. And we are facing big challenges, absolutely. And we have this time plan in this decision that we should have it in going for 2021. But we have just done all these demonstration projects and so on. And the difference here is the demonstration project, then you will dismantle it after a short time. And by that you can cut the corner regarding different kind of laws and so on and planning processes. But now we are facing the reality. We have to follow every law, the planning process and so on, and that will take time. But I think, I'm positive, because in Sweden we have the Swedish model. We had good cooperation between government, department, industry, academia and so on. And I think together we can do as best as we can and will reach quite far. But there are lots of challenges and there are road bumps and so on. But I'm positive, of course.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. And Michael, your short-term focus now, launching all your pilots?
Well, you can just copy-paste John's answer, because same holds true for Germany. But we are maybe half a step behind, because our short-term focus now is, well, getting our 3 demonstrators working. I'm also very optimistic about it. But of course, there will be challenges to solve. And then start to harvest first experiences from our projects. And maybe one remark, experience of life tells you once you are successful, then suddenly you have very powerful enemies. And I'm sure this is going to happen when our demonstration projects are becoming reality. Then suddenly there will be in the press articles like, oh, ERS is completely the wrong way because And we must be prepared to react, and we must actually act before we have to react.
So what are the major challenges, would you say, for ERS when you bring in the critical eye on this?
We have to distinguish between short-term now for the demonstrators and long-term for large-scale systems. So which direction goes your question?
Yes. Well, you have to...
Both.
Yeah, both, please.
And then it could be a longer answer. So let me
take then the version that's the shortest.
Yeah. I think short-term, well, there again, it is how to organize planning and approval processes. And in some of the talks earlier today, you've got a glimpse about it, what needs to be organized. So this is for the short term. I would like to make a comment on what Markus Staub said at the end of his talk today. He said, well, these technical issues we really need to solve, because without that you don't need a business plan. That's absolutely right. I do absolutely agree. And I have natural science background, so I think I have a clue about all the technical problems that need to be solved. But all the engineers and technicians in this room, you are so great, smart guys, and I have a very good confidence that you will be able to solve these problems. But when I talk to a politician to organize the large-scale rolling out, I have 30 seconds of attention by the politician, and the scientists will always give me input more than 30 seconds. So I'm at the surface where I have to translate. So I take 3 seconds to tell the politician, technology, it works, it has been proven, no problem. And then comes all these stories about what is the impact, what is the business model, and so it would be cool then to have cool scientific results that answer these questions within the remaining 27 seconds. Like, yeah, we have saved 10 gigaton of carbon dioxide every year, and we can easily do so by just having a little bonus on the road usage fee of 30 cents, and then the politician understands the story.
Okay.
And these are the long-term challenges.
That are good advice to the both of you then. If we look at the Volvo and Scania here, Anna and Svåke, are you prepared to have vehicles into these tests?
I can say that we see very positive about regarding the pilots, and from my personal point of view, I cannot see how we couldn't attend. I cannot sign anything today, of course.
Okay.
We see it very positive.
But small positive sign. Thank you.
Well, we're already involved in the tests, so we are more concerned about the deployment scale-up project. So 5, 10, 15 vehicles, that will be there, of course, if we get the order. The challenge is to be there when the deployment project is starting. And an industry like ours, I guess I share that with AB Volvo, we need sort of 1.5 to 3 years advanced notion to start the process for industrialization. And in 3 years, that is 2021. So please give me the order today.
Oh, that's a wonderful ending. The last question I want to direct to you is, when is ERS in full spin in Germany, in Sweden, in Norway?
It is not my job here to look into the magic glass ball. So I cannot answer that. And we have brilliant researchers here who are trying to provide answers to this question.
Okay.
I would like to see analysis from science where you look for robust results or other results which are not yet so robust, doing sensitivity analysis, finding out where are the switches where politics can actually influence the TCO on the side of logistic companies. And so put your question from a magic glass ball question into a question like, what can governments and administrations do to make it into a spin sooner or later?
Okay.
This is what I would love to learn from science.
All right.
And then we can answer your question.
Great. Jan, are you a little braver in
I
this
will
sense?
try to answer your question, absolutely.
Thank you.
But I'm not a politician nor a decision maker for those kind of decisions. But, of course, this will come step by step. As we have this huge challenge now in Sweden for the first deployment project, absolutely, first step. And then 2022, with the new National Transport Plan, we will present the first step of a rollout. And then I think we will take it step by step, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So it will survive. That is your anticipation.
Of course.
Great. Great. Please, Tom.
2040.
Great. That's great. And yes, Scania's view on this? Yeah, we have.
Okay. We do a backtracking from 2050 instead and say, when do we need a mass ERS system? Because we know that we need, the society will need it in 5 to 10 years. We need to start to build them to be able to reach the goals of the carbon law.
Yeah.
So that's another way of thinking.
Absolutely.
When do we really need them?
Interesting. Hans?
I've been working with electric roads since 2011, and considering the speed of the development, I think we will have, if we can find the standards regulations needed and the financing, we will have commercial roads within 5 to 10 years.
Okay, interesting. Anna?
Well, I agree with Nils Gunnar here. I think it's a good approach. When do we need it? And I don't dare to say any figure, actually.
But it's very nice.
But it's very, very important.
It's very nice to hear that you are all prepared. I think that is a very good conclusion of today and this conference. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you very much.